The Daytona Beach is finally open for stock car racing here in 2020, and Speed Weeks continues with the ARCA Menards Series season opener. It is the Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire. Thank you guys for joining us here this afternoon as we are getting set to turn them loose here at the World Center of Racing. I'm Eric Burton here in the broadcast booth and happy to deliver you full lap-by-lap coverage of our first race of the newly ARCA Menards Series here in 2020. This year in ARCA will be like no other, with its first season being owned by NASCAR, featuring many changes to the ARCA Menards Series as well as the newly named ARCA Menards East and West divisions, along with the new series, the ARCA Menards Series Showdown. 40 cars are lined up on pit lane awaiting the green flag to drop here in the 2020 campaign. And as I look down pit lane, I see many competitive teams that can compete for wins and for the series championship. This looks to be the best year ever in ARCA racing, and it will kick off here at Daytona, which is no better place to kick off a season like Daytona. It is a cloudy, chilly day in Daytona Beach. This race was supposed to be taking place yesterday afternoon right before the Busch Clash, but rain came and postponed today's event till now. We just wrapped up Daytona 500 pole qualifying just a few hours ago. Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski will lead the field of green in Sunday's Daytona 500, but today the Lucas Oil 200 is the Daytona 500 for the ARCA Menards Series, the biggest race of the year. The theme of Daytona in ARCA is always defined as veterans versus the rookies, the newbies in the series. We have veterans like Michael Self, Tom Hazard, Brandon McReynolds, Gus Dean, who know how to get it done on restrictor plate races. Then you have guys like Rafael Assard, Danny Bone, Derek Kraus, Ty Gillen, who are running this race to get a little bit more experience as they'll be competing in Friday night's Truck Series race here in Daytona. And then you got rookies like Tanner Gray, Drew Dollar, Haley Deegan, Jacob Hefner, and even late model champion Josh Berry, who have never even seen this place before. It will be an action-packed race to add on to an action-packed week here from Daytona. It is a 25-lap race to kick off the 2020 season, and let's see the down track side for the opening ceremonies.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things give thanks.
Drivers, start your engines!
And as you see, the cars are now rolling off pit lane, the best sight we can see. The cars heading onto the track. We've been waiting for this since last October, since Christian Eckes was crowned the 2019 Series champion. And now we are back in the swing of things with Brett Holmes on the pole. His first time in his career, he will lead the field down to green in the ARCA Menards Series. He'll start alongside the 46 of Thad Moffitt, the grandson of the King, Richard Petty. Row 2, a couple of Venturini teammates, Ryan Repko in the 20, alongside the 25 of Michael Self, winner of this race 2 years ago. On your screen, your starting grid roll across your screen, allowing you to see where your favorite drivers are going to start here in the Lucas Oil 200. Rafael Assard, a rookie in this race, running full-time for Kyle Busch Motorsports, running this race to actually get approval to run Friday night's race, along with the 29 of Danny Bone. He'll be running in Friday night's race as long as he gets approved from today's race. Todd Gilliland for DGR Crossley, Andy Size for Our Motorsports. Then you have Josh Berry and Canada native Jason White rounding out your top 10. Tanner Gray, Brandon McReynolds on row 6. Then you have Connor Hall and Gus Dean on row 7. 40 cars are here. 42 attempted. 2 went home, Mike Basham and Con Nicolopoulos. But the pace car, the Dodge Charger pace car, will finally hit pit lane in the 2020 ARCA Menards Series. Season is finally underway. Brett Holmes leads us down to green, and we are finally racing in Daytona. Pretty organized outside lane here on the start. That's Thad Moffitt getting a pretty nice push from the 25 of Michael Self. He's able to get his nose out ahead of that 23. But here comes the push on the inside from Repco to the 23 Holmes as they head down the long back straightaway here in Daytona. Brett Holmes may get caught in the middle as he saw the 20 Repco looking to the inside, but he thought better of it as a little bit of contact between the front two. Brett Holmes and Thad Moffitt side by side for the lead as that's 11 of Jason White trying to make that third lane work at the top of the track. Ryan Repco, Rafael Assar, there's Jason White with Brandon McReynolds, Gus Dean. You see the 4, that's Haley Deegan. Behind the 2, Jacob Hefner, Chad Bryant Racing brought 4 cars to Daytona, hoping to get a trophy here in Daytona. As Holmes was able to hang on to the lead by the 46 of Moffitt, that's Ryan Repco moving up into second place. And there's the 15, Drew Dollar, the Valvoline colors on board that number 15 car. There's his teammate Derek Kraus behind him. There's Cody Rohrbach running in the Truck Series race on Friday night as well. As they come off turn number 2, turn number 4 to complete lap number 2, and it's Brett Holmes still in the lead. But here comes Rafael Lazard on the inside in that Monster Energy Toyota. He's trying to get the lead away from Brett Holmes in turn number 1. These guys are fanning out 3 and 4 wide. Contact between McReynolds and that 28, Josh Berry, that's Travis Braden in that 77. And there goes the 27. Tom Henson surrounded, and the big one strikes already here off turn number 2. That's Carson Ware spinning through the grass. The 61's collected. That's JJ Pack. Jacob Hefner in the 2 car. And there's the 06. That is Tim Richmond involved in the Wayne Peterson injury. Brian Finney in the 80 involved. Cody Lane. Caution flag is out already here at Daytona. And it happens here on lap number 4. Brett Holmes was your leader at the line. Thad Moffitt was able to work his way back up in the second. Todd Gilliland will be third with, I believe, Rafael Assard and the 15 of Drew Dollar. Your top 5 with Michael Self, Derek Kraus, Tanner Gray, Ryan Repco, and Connor Hall making up your top 10. As the caution flag is out for the first time today here on lap number 4 of 25, and Brett Holmes your leader. And we see, we have a lot of cars running in the back of each other here on the back straightaway. Cody Lane, Jacob Hefner, heavy front end damage on the 80 of Brian Finney. Looks like he got through that crash with a little bit of rear end damage, but now he has a lot of front end damage on that car. That is a very sensitive part of the car where you do not want damage. You have to think and hope that a radiator is not busted on that number 80. Same goes with Jacob Hefner and Cody Lane. Alex Clubb got major damage in that crash. D.L. Wilson, Haley Deegan also caught up in that crash. The 4 of Haley Deegan, certainly anticipated start by Deegan here in 2020. There's Carson Ware for the son of Rick Ware. I see some left side damage on Gus Dean as well. So the first caution is out this afternoon in Daytona. Let's get a replay of what took place in bringing the first caution out. Brett Holmes, your leader here in Daytona. Can't be too surprised to see this wreck take place after the way they were racing here just 3 laps into the race. But you're going to see contact coming off turn number 2, and it begins right here with a 61 of JJ Pack and the 2 of rookie Jacob Hefner. And you're going to see Hefner, he's pushing Pack on the outside, but they're going to make contact here off turn 2. Hefner's going to get in that left rear corner panel of the 61 right into the 27 of Tom Hazard. See Carson Ware and Gus Dean spinning at the top of your screen. And from this point, it's just cars piling in, just can't get slowed down. There's the 52 of Will Rogers. Brian Finney goes for a spin. Haley Deegan caught up in this. And look at the 06 of Tim Richmond. He has enough time to try to avoid and just runs right in the back of Cody Lane in that 67 car. There's Alex Clubb involved in the 03. Brad Smith. Looks like he got through unscathed. CJ McLaughlin, Carson Ware. We saw Carson and Gus Dean spinning around. Looks like they got contact right after the crash took place. We saw them spinning at the top of your screen. Because after Pack and Hazard make contact here, Hazard's going to end up, I believe, as you know, Hazard's car hit Carson Ware, and Carson ended up sliding up into Gus Dean. That's where Gus got involved. And I see these cars start just trying to avoid and go make evasive action here to get through this mess. You see the smoke is so just so much smoke is in the air, you can't really see where you're going, and that may have been why Tim Richmond could not get slowed down and why he ran in the back of Cody Lane. That is some good contact, good damage on the 06 of Tim Richmond. Maybe the spotter also could not see because of that smoke. But after they got through the crash, and looks like a lot of them were going to get, be able to be okay, something takes place back here somewhere. I don't know. Trying to figure out a little bit more. See the damage on the 80 of Brian Finney. We saw him get through that mess with not really a whole lot of front end damage, but you saw them checking up on the back straightaway, and what happens is right here, just really just a chain reaction. You see Tom Hazard, Brad Smith, Clubb and Pack, Lane and Hefner. I think the two biggest losers in that mess was probably Jacob Hefner and Brian Finney. But up front, it was pole center Brett Holmes who was able to lead us to the caution flag. Thad Moffitt and Todd Gillen, your front three runners here in Daytona. And they'll be your front runners when we go back green here after the break. 18 laps to go here in the Lucas Oil 200. 4 cars have went behind the wall following the accident here on lap number 3. They include rookies Jacob Hefner and Haley Deegan, along with Brian Finney and Tim Richmond. They are all done for the afternoon. We are back green, and what a jump on the outside by the 46. Thad Moffitt was ready to go on that outside. He clears the inside lane as they go off into turn number 1. Thad Moffitt to the lead in Daytona. And Michael Self getting pretty aggressive on that back bumper. Rafael Lassaud, he's going to go through the middle. He's going to put Rafael on that outside line with no help from behind. Brett Holmes spun his tires on the reset, but he's now trying to make up for it as he's going to go to the lead with help from Todd Gilliland, as Michael Self still in that middle lane as Gilliland sticking his nose on the inside of the 23. That's Moffitt and Lassaud on the outside, falling back with no help, and on the inside comes Todd Gilliland with a 15 of Drew Dollar. You see 3 Venturini cars lined up on the inside, the 20, the 15, and the 55. And they're still making contact. That's the 22 of Josh Berry. Up ahead of him is his teammate, the 77 of Travis Braden. Now, Travis Braden was let go from the 27 team, and it was announced just about 2 weeks before we came down here that the 27, if I can find him, that's being piloted by Tom Hazard. There he is. That 27 car will suspend operations after this race in Daytona. This is their final race as an organization. They got veteran Tom Hazard behind the wheel. As for Travis Braden in this 77 car, this is only a 1-race deal with Chad Bryant Racing. He's in the 77, and beginning next outing in race number 2, that will be Jacob Hefner behind the wheel of that 77 in our second race of the year. Brett Holmes up in front. That's the 15 of Drew Dollar, making a little bit of contact with Ty Gillen. Here comes the 55. Derek Kraus making it 3 wide for 3rd place. And contact's going to be made by the teammates saying Kraus is going to go for a slide. Up the track they go. Derek Kraus hard in the wall. And he collects Rafael Lassaud, and they're still piling into the mass here in turn 3. Cody Rohrbach collected. I believe that's the 1 of D.L. Wilson. Andy Seiss was collected. And at the stripe it was the 17 of Todd Gilliland. As you see Carson Ware involved again. Andy Seiss. Left side damage on the 48 of Brad Smith. There's Travis Braden, that's Josh Berry. Berry and Braden are driving the same paint scheme with Big Time sponsorship. The yellow Ford Mustang. Carson Ware involved. D.L. Wilson. Krause. Here's Lassard. Travis Braden in the 77. We were just talking about him right before that crash took place, and a lot more cars. That's really the second big one we've seen already. I think that one might be even bigger than the first caution of the day. Todd Gilliland, Brett Holmes, Michael Self, Connor Hall, and Drew Dolly are top 5 now as the second caution is out. Let's take a replay of the crash. And how ironic is it that it's going to start with two rookie teammates from Venturini Motorsports, the 15 of Drew Dollar and the 55 of Derek Krause. See, Krause is on the inside, push from Ryan Repko, his teammate. And Dollar, it looks like Dollar kind of comes down into the 55 of Krause, and Krause tries to save it, but he hits the apron, comes back up and collects the 77 of Travis Braden. There's hard impact by Cody Rohrbaugh on the outside lane. Ryan Vargas in the 6 runs in the back of Carson Ware. Look at that contact by the 1 of D.L. Wilson. He was not able to get slowed down enough, and he runs right in the back of Vargas in the 6. There's Rohrbaugh. That was a hard head-on impact by the 9 of Cody Rohrbaugh. Let's see if we can get a helicopter view of the Derek Krause, Drew Dollar. Here's a helicopter view, and see Krause, he's got to run. He is there on the inside of Dollar. And Dollar looks like he just kind of Krause down and just keeps coming down. Maybe Krause came up a bit. Dollar was able to get away, but Krause unable to get away from that. And look at that heavy contact by D.L. Wilson. And that will send that 6 of Ryan Vargas behind the wall. He's done for the day. Cody Rohrbaugh, Derek Krause. A lot of these guys are probably going to be done for the afternoon here, as the second big one has striked here in Daytona. And one more time, we're going to go with a head-on or a onboard camera with Cody Rohrbaugh. Let's see what he saw in this pack. He was right behind Ryan Repko on the inside lane. See, he probably could have had it missed until he got hit in the right rear corner panel that sent him head on to the outside wall at over 180 miles per hour. Certainly a tough break for Cody Rohrbaugh, as he'll be running full-time in the Truck Series this season for CR7 Motorsports. Now the way he wants to kick off his 2020 campaign here in the ARCA Menards Series. After 2 cautions that came out in the 25-lap race from Daytona, that will leave us now with 11 laps to go here in Daytona. We have 30 cars still on track. Todd Gilliland and Brett Holmes, your front row, with Michael Self and Connor Hall on row number 2. Drew Dollar, Tanner Gray, Ryan Repko and Thad Moffitt, Brandon McReynolds, and Jason White, your top 10 as we're about to go back green here in Daytona. And a nice jump on the outside, that's Brett Holmes. Now, Todd Gilliland was the leader, but just like Brett Holmes did on the restart prior, looks like Todd Gilliland may have spun his tires, and the outside row is going to take advantage of it. Not just Brett Holmes, but how about Connor Hall in that 7 car? He's the remaining Chad Bryant Racing Ford, who has really a good shot at the win. Josh Berry and Jacob Hefner out of the race. You had Travis Braden. He is still on track, but he is heavily damaged in his number 77 Ford. And now we have Connor Hall in second, Todd Gilliland and Michael Self side by side for third. That's Tanner Gray falling back on the outside. That's the 44 then. Now that is Lexi Gay. We have not talked about Lexi Gay today. She's making her ARCA Menards Series debut in Daytona. She's never been in this place before, and here she is up here inside the top 10, having a strong run for Lexi Gay in that 44. Some other names we've not really mentioned today. The 69, that is Scott Melton for Kimmel Racing. We have Sean Core back here in that 43. Willie Mullins in the 3. We have Dominic Van Weerigen driving that number 30 for Reddy Jones Racing. Let's see, we got Brian Doza in that 57. He's up here having a strong run. There's Denny Bone in the 29 for On Point Motorsports. And then we have Dave Mater, JJ Pack, Brad Smith, Cody Lane, CJ McLaughlin, Alex Clubb, Travis Braden, Carson Ware, and Andy Seiss still on track, as they are still 3 wide here at Daytona. Looks like the 2 big ones we've seen so far. I'm not really scared these guys to get a little bit more cautious, but we're coming down to 9 laps to go. How can you be cautious now as we have 9 laps left on the board and we're still side by side for the lead? That's Brett Holmes and Connor Hall. Holmes with help from Ty Gillen, Drew Dollar pushing Hall on the inside, and Holmes with that nice push from the 17 goes back down low to pick up the inside lane to try to keep them side by side. It's easier to block 2 lanes when they're side by side because both lanes are slowing each lane down. And here comes a run on the inside again. That's Connor Hall as Connor Hall's moving towards the front. That's Todd Gillen dropping towards the rear on that outside. He has no help from behind, but his DGR Crosley teammate, the 54 of Tanner Gray. And they're still side by side at the front between Holmes and Connor Hall. And it looks like it's getting a little bit more calm here at the front. We have, a lot of cars have already been taken to the garage. 10 cars are out. The race should be in fact. And they're going to be 3 wide yet again. That's Michael Self again coming out through that middle, shuffling the 28 of Brandon McReynolds out of the top 5. A lot of people are looking at Michael Self to be a championship favorite here in 2020. Returning to Venturini Motorsports. He's actually driving the car and for the team that won the title last year with Christian Eckes. Drew Dollar in the 15 is driving the car that Michael Self and the job for the team that Michael Self drove for last year. As they're still side by side, there's the 11. And we've talked about Jason White having a strong round. I believe he'll be trying to compete in the Truck Series race on Friday night. As a little bit of contact up here, that's Michael Self and Connor Hall. And here comes the inside lane by Drew Dollar. The 18-year-old making his first ever start on the Super Speed on restricted plate racing. Dollar's never been in this situation before until he unloaded a couple of days ago. And now Connor Hall in the middle, Brett Holmes up top, and Drew Dollar on the bottom. 6 laps to go in Daytona. And I see a lot of guys up here who never even been to victory lane in the ARCA Menards Series, like Dollar, like Hall, like Repco. Only 2 names I really see that really sticks out to me is Brandon McReynolds and Michael Self. As here comes Moffitt now on the inside. He's going to make it 3 wide for second place. And as you're 3 wide for second, that is what Connor Hall would like to see. Those 3 guys battling side by side, trying to slow each other down by all the side drifting that's going on through the turns and down the back straightaway. But look at that run Ryan Repco has on the outside, though. He's getting a pretty nice push from Brett Holmes from the outside lane and possibly to the lead. Goes the 20 of Ryan Repco. Oh, he tried to get down in front of the 15 of Dollar, but there was not enough room. Dollar could not, or Repco was not able to shut the door in front of his teammate. And now Dollar getting to the back bumper of the 7 of Connor Hall. There'll be 4 laps to go this time by here in Daytona. Connor Hall. And now look at the 20 of Ryan Repco on the outside. He's going to try to take that lead away off turn 4. Repco would like to have his teammate Drew Dollar get behind him and give him a nice push. That's who you want to see in your rearview mirror on the super speedway. It's your teammate, someone who you can rely on to possibly help you win this race. And you can tell the intensity is rising up here as Michael Self and Brett Holmes, and there's going to be a little bit of contact there. Holmes was able to save it though. And Dollar pushing Repco out into the lead as will become the 3 to go this time by. And old Gillen comes down into Scott Melton. And there we go again. Gillen's in the wall. Michael Self is involved. Tom Hazard spins out again in the 27. Caution flag is out now for the 3rd time this afternoon. And it looks like the 3 guys involved, Michael Self and Todd Gillen, along with the 27 of Tom Hazard, as a caution flag waves for the 3rd time today. And the race leader is the 20 of Ryan Repco. Brandon McReynolds, Connor Hall will be 3rd. Brett Holmes and Thad Moffitt. Drew Dollar, Tanner Gray, Sean Core, Gus Dean, who's done a nice job getting back up inside the top 10 even though he's got some damage. And Scott Melton, the guy who we saw almost get taken out in that mess he will be running out the top 10. But the 17 of Ty Gillen, the only guy who doesn't appear to be able to get away from that mess, is on pit road. Now, one important thing I do want to point out before we show a replay is after that last caution, the second caution, Carson Ware and Andy Seiss were 1 lap down. But because of this caution, that means Carson Ware will get 1 lap back. So Carson Ware will be on the lead lap. Andy Seiss will be 1 lap down. And if these guys do not get off pit road in time, Ty Gillen and Tom Hedges will be going 1 lap down to race leader Ryan Repko as well. If you take a look at the replay, the last time Ty Gillen was in a ARCA car on a restrictor plate track, it was Talladega last April. And I believe it was Ty Gillen who went to victory lane that day. But the same story will not repeat itself here this afternoon. As you see, Ty Gillen's in the middle of a 3-wide situation entering turn number 3. And you're going to see Gillen, he's on the inside of Michael Self. Scott Melton's getting a push from Sean Corr. And it looks very similar to what happened with Drew Dollar and Derek Kraus. See, Scott Melton comes back up the track. He saves it, but Michael Self was there, unfortunately, for Ty Gillen. And you see Travis Breeden, the 11 of Jason White, also got a little bit of minimal contact, a little bit of damage on the 11 as well. But just like the Dollar and Kraus incident, only difference is it was the car on the inside this time that was able to save it. As Derek Kraus went below that yellow line to try to keep from wrecking Drew Dollar, Kraus ended up going around. Scott Melton on this time is on the inside, but he's able to save it, and the car on the outside, which is Ty Gillen, is collected. We're going to see a helicopter view. Here it is. And see what happens entering turn 3 one more time. And see Scott, it looks like Scott Melton may have came up the track into Ty Gillen, sent Todd down below that yellow line. Melton saves it, barely. But Gillen catches a 25 of Michael Self, and Hezer ends up getting involved. Jason White as well. And look at JJ Pack in that 61. He just barely made his way through that mess. And JJ Pack is going to be able to continue, unlike possibly these two guys back here, Ty Gillen and Tom Hazards. This crash happened with about 3 laps to go. Now, in the ARCA Menards Series, we will, no matter what, finish this race under the green flag. Ryan Repko is your leader. Can he hang on and possibly win his first race at Daytona and just his first start at Daytona? We'll find out here after the break. We're back live here at Daytona. And 3 weeks from now, the ARCA Menards Series will be at the Phoenix International Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona for race number 2 of the ARCA Menards Series and race number 1 for the ARCA Menards Showdown Series. We'll talk about more of that. We'll talk more about that when we go to Phoenix, Arizona here in a couple of weeks. But for right now, it's all about Daytona and all about Ryan Repko and Brandon McReynolds, the front row. It will be a 2-lap dash to the checkers here in Daytona. Can Ryan Repko hang on? Can Brandon McReynolds make that outside line work once again? About to find out. We're back underway in Daytona. And a great jump by the 20 of McReynolds. And once again, the inside line does not get going. It's the 20 of Ryan Repko spinning the tires as they race off in the turn number 1. A little bit of contact by Drew Dollar and Sean Corr. They save it, they keep it together, but that could have been a disaster for Drew Dollar and even maybe his teammate Ryan Repko. Brandon McReynolds leads, but it's Brett Holmes, who's never been in victory lane, running in second place. Can McReynolds get a little bit of redemption as Holmes all over the back of the 28? It was McReynolds who ran out of gas here in 2012 off turn number 4 while in the lead, trying to get a little bit of redemption here from Daytona as they come down the line. 1 lap to go at Daytona for Brandon McReynolds. Ryan Repko has a big push from Connor Hall, and here comes Connor Hall, making a 3-1 for second place on the inside of Ryan Repko. And he's got to run. He's on a bumper of the 28. Looking on the inside, they make contact. Around goes the 28. McReynolds spins out turn 2. Up front, it's the 20 of Ryan Repko, but Brett Holmes has a nice push from the 15 of Drew Dollar. Dollar pushes Holmes past his teammate Repko, and it's Brett Holmes to the lead as the 63 is holding the wall. Dave made her head on the outside wall, and they're still crashing here. Off turn number 4, they go again. Sean Corr's around, but it's all behind race leader Brett Holmes, and Brett Holmes is a winner in the ARCA Menards Series, and it comes at the Daytona International Speedway. What a job well done by Brett Holmes. Delivers the first win of his career to Brett Holmes Racing, a family-owned team, and they win here at Daytona with runner-up Ryan Repko in second. Third place is going to be rookie Drew Dollar. Fourth goes to Thad Moffitt, and a nice top 5 effort for Lexi Gay. What a run by Lexi Gay in her first ever start at Daytona. She comes in with a top 5 finish. A great job by the driver of that 44. Danny Bone came back up here to finish in 6th place for Danny Bone. Certainly a standout when it comes to the Wilden Modifieds. He is 6th. Brian Doze is 7th. Willie Mullins, Tommy Vig Jr., last year's Rookie of the Year, and Will Rogers coming home with a top 10 effort for Kenny Schrader Racing. But it's all going to be, this finish will no doubt be kind of a controversy finish here when it comes to the 28 of Brandon McReynolds, who will end up 24th, it looks like. Brandon McReynolds and the 2 of, or in the 7, in this case, Connor Hall. And you see Connor Hall is getting a big push from Tanner Gray on that inside. And, you know, these bumpers do not line up. And it looks like Connor Hall may have gotten the left rear corner pin on that 28. Maybe McReynolds went up the track a little bit. And Hall just hooks that 28 around off turn 2. And at this point, Ryan Repko has the lead. Ryan Repko is in pretty good spot to win this race until that push right there by Drew Dollar to the 23 of Brett Holmes. Let's speed it up a little bit. And look at that push. You know Dollar does not want to push that 23 by his teammate for him to win the race. But then again, though, you know, you got to try to do what you have to do to see what you can do to win this race. And as we had another crash, we had like 3 separate crashes here. We had the McReynolds incident, then we had the, and it looks like this may have been because of the what happened with Connor Hall. As you see, Gus Dean's below that yellow line. Not sure why he's down there, but looks like they're gonna check up. And Dominic Van Weeregen, Michael Self, Dave Maynard, they all just hooked together. There's JJ Pat getting involved once again. And hard impact by Josh Bear, or that's Travis Braden, Alex Clubb, Todd Gilliland, all piling in. Some of those cars were lapped down, like Gilliland. Dominic Van Weeregen, Michael Self, there's Dave Mader, the veteran. I think he's even a former winner in the ARCA Menards Series a long time ago in the late 90s. And Michael Self certainly, what started out as a promising day turned into a unfortunate day, which now is a kind of a disaster day for Michael Self. There's Alex Clubb. He's stuck between the apron down in turn number 3 and 4. And we saw coming to the checker flag behind Brett Holmes as he was about to win the race. We saw another crash with Sean Corr in that 43 car. Or it may have been a crash. It may have not even been a crash at all. As you see Gus Dean, they're almost 4 wide. And yeah, Sean Corr hits the wall, and he actually does a nice job saving that car. I thought he spun out off turn 4, but he did not. He actually he wrecked, but he didn't wreck. And he went and he comes across the line, 13th place for Sean Corr. Pretty good day though for his organization, Empire Racing with Thad Moffitt getting a nice run in 4th, and Lexi Gay in 5th place. Well, certainly what a race we saw here today at Daytona, and we see a first-time winner in Brett Holmes. It's always exciting when you see something like that happens in the ARCA Menards Series. And it comes here at Daytona, of all places. It's going to be a special day here for Brett Holmes, who led the most laps, by the way. He led the most laps, and he also won from the pole. So it's going to be a pretty good points day as well for Brett Holmes as he leaves Daytona. As we take a look at the rest of the results here from Daytona, Ryan Repko, Drew Dollar, Thad Moffitt. went through the top 10 of Scott Melton and Gus Dean, 11th and 12th. Sean Core, Tanner Gray with a 14th place effort, and Jason White, top 15 for the 11th team for Andy Hillenberg. Connor Hall, after that contact with Brendan McReynolds, Connor Hall, not only did McReynolds lose a shot at a win, but so did Hall. So Hall was also a victim in that. He is up 17th. Cody Lane, CJ McLaughlin, and Carson Ware. And there's Brendan McReynolds down there at the lower part of the screen. Going to be a hard pill to swallow for the 28 of McReynolds. He ends up 22nd. There's Michael South, 24th. As we look on to the next page, Andy Size, 25th. That 02 team will be in the Xfinity race on Saturday with Brett Moffitt behind the wheel. So their racing is not over yet here in Daytona. Tom Hazard, there's Alex Clubb, 29th. Travis Braden, his one-off race with a 77 team, not really what he was hoping for. There's 34th place Cody Rohrbach, Rafael Lizarra, 33rd. Ryan Bargerson, 36th. And then the final four drivers who were knocked out after that first crash. Tough break for Haley Deegan and Jacob Hefner, two of our full-time rookies who'll be running for the championship. Brian Finney and Tim Richmond also crashed out early in the race as well. There's no doubt, though, a very exciting race here at Daytona. A lot of lead changes, a lot of three-wide racing here at the front. And in the end, it was Brett Holmes who came out victorious in that 23. As you take a look at the point standings coming out of here at Daytona, it is Brett Holmes with a pretty good point lead. You got some extra bonus points to go along with it, with leading a lap, leading the most laps, and winning the pole and winning the race as well. Pretty good points today for Brett Holmes as we head on to our second race of the schedule at Phoenix, Arizona. That'll be race number 2. And the first race of the ARCA Showdown. That is a new championship that these guys will be running for. Guys like Michael Self and Brett Holmes, not only will they be competing for the main prize, the ARCA Menards Series title, also trying to see if they can clinch the ARCA Menards Showdown as well. A lot of our K&N guys, or no longer K&N, but ARCA East and West Series drivers will be in that race as well, running for that title as well, like Chandler Smith, Ty Gibbs, Chase Cabery, and more. And you can see the race here on March of 531 in a couple of weeks, in about 3 weeks, from the Phoenix Raceway. Until then, we will see you on Thursday night. The Blue-Green Vacation Duels from Daytona, which will set the lineup for the Daytona 500. That will be on Thursday. We'll see who will race their way in as well on Thursday night. Later up this week, on Friday, we'll have the first race of the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoor Truck Series. And then on Saturday, the season premiere for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And then it'll all end with the Daytona 500, the 62nd running of the Great American Race on Sunday afternoon. Until then, we'll see you Thursday night, and congrats to Brett Holmes on career win number 1 here in the ARCA Menards Series.